I almost died at 90 years old, and I want to tell you what I saw. Not what I think I saw, not what I wish I had seen, what I actually saw. In those hours when the doctors weren't sure which way it was going to go, when my family was in the waiting room not knowing whether to hope or prepare. I'm 93 now. 3 years on the other side of that night. And I will tell you something that I couldn't have told you before it happened. Something I didn't have the language for, or maybe the courage for, until I came that close to the edge and looked over. Most people spend their whole lives afraid of death. I was one of them. 90 years of keeping that particular fear in a box in the back of a closet, sealed shut, never examined. I figured if I didn't look at it, it couldn't touch me. It touched me anyway. On a Tuesday night in January. And what happened when it did was nothing like I expected. Nothing like I feared. I was a civil engineer, 42 years building roads and bridges across 3 states. There is something particular about that kind of work. Structural work, load-bearing work, that shapes how you think. Everything has to hold. Everything has to be calculated. You don't guess. You don't feel your way through. You measure. You verify. You build on what you can prove. I brought that mind to my whole life. My marriage to Sandra, 47 years, she's still here, still sharper than me, and don't let her tell you otherwise. My relationship with my 2 sons, my faith, such as it was, which was always complicated by the fact that I needed evidence for everything, and faith, by definition, asks you to proceed without it. I was not a man who trusted what he couldn't measure, which made what happened to me at 90 particularly difficult to explain. I had been having chest tightness for about a week, on and off, mild enough to dismiss, which I did, repeatedly and deliberately, because I was 90 years old and something always hurt, and I had learned over the decades to negotiate with my body's complaints. Sandra didn't know. I didn't tell her. That was my first mistake, and I want you to hear it clearly. I didn't tell her because I didn't want to worry her, and I didn't want to be fussed over. I was 90 years old, and I still thought protecting people from the truth was a form of love. It isn't. It's control, dressed up as kindness. The night it happened, I was sitting in my chair reading. Sandra had gone to bed. I felt the tightness move, and that's the only word for it. It moved from my chest up into my jaw and down my left arm simultaneously. And I understood immediately and with complete clarity exactly what was happening. I called out to Sandra. She called 911. They were there in 7 minutes. In the ambulance, and this is the part I have struggled to talk about, because I am an engineer and I deal in what can be measured, something shifted. The pain was significant. I was aware it might be the last thing I felt. And instead of fear, instead of the panic I had always assumed would come, there was a stillness. Not peace exactly, stillness, like the moment before a structure settles into place. And in that stillness, things became extremely clear to me. Not visions, not lights, nothing cinematic, just clarity, like fog lifting off a valley all at once. I saw my life the way you see a blueprint, the whole thing at once, not in sequence, not memory by memory, but all of it simultaneously, the way an engineer looks at a completed structure and understands in one glance what it was built to do and whether it succeeded. And here is what I saw. The structure was sound, that's the first thing. I had built something real. Sandra, my sons. Work that still stands. There are roads I built that people drive on today without knowing my name, and that is exactly as it should be. The structure was sound, but there were load-bearing walls I had neglected. Relationships I had maintained at a surface level because going deeper felt like risk, and I was a man who calculated risk and avoided it. Conversations with my son Michael that I had never finished. A coldness between us that I had told myself was just personality difference, just how men are, just the way it goes. It wasn't. It was a crack I had seen and plastered over instead of repaired. I survived. The procedure was successful. I spent 9 days in the hospital and came home to Sandra sitting in the kitchen with coffee ready at 7 in the morning, exactly the way she has done every morning for 47 years. I sat down across from her and I cried. First time in, I genuinely don't know how long. She didn't say anything. She put her hand over mine, and she didn't say a single word. That silence was the most honest conversation we'd ever had. The week after I came home, I called Michael. Not a Sunday call, not a holiday call, a Tuesday, no occasion. I told him I wanted to talk, really talk, about the distance between us and where it came from, and whether we could close it before I ran out of time to try. He was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "I've been waiting for that call my whole life, Dad." I'm 93. Michael and I talk every week now. Real conversations. The kind I was too careful to have for decades. Here is the truth I came back with from that ambulance. You are building something. Right now, today, with every choice about who you make time for, and what you say, and what you keep quiet, and which cracks you repair, and which ones you plaster over. You are building it whether you're paying attention or not. The question is not whether the structure will eventually be inspected. It will. One way or another, at some point, you will see it whole. The question is whether when you see it, you'll be proud of what held. I almost didn't get to fix what I saw. I got lucky. I got a Tuesday call with my son and coffee with my wife, and 3 more years I didn't expect. Most people don't get the warning. Most people get the end. Most people. What in your structure needs repair right now, today? while you still have the time and the tools to fix it. Don't plaster over it.